With the casting of the new James Bond set into stone, it was Live and Let Die that would set the tone for the next 6 films. At this point, Bond fans were split as to how they perceived their secret agent. Many people simply refused to accept anyone else in the role except Sean Connery, while others embraced Roger Moore as if he'd been donning the role from the start. Either way, Live and Let Die was a bit of a departure from the rest of the series, so no one really knew what to expect with this next installment. It seemed that with the earlier Roger Moore pictures, the studios were trying to capitalize on other film genres. We covered how Live and Let Die was partially influenced by the blaxploitation era, and with The Man with the Golden Gun, they borrowed a little from martial arts films. It's also the second of 3 Bond films to have the word gold in its title. So the film opens on a private island where we're introduced right off the bat to the movie's 2 primary villains. The minuscule henchman, Knick-Knack, played by dwarf actor Hervé Villechaize, and Francisco Scaramanga, played by none other than British acting legend Christopher Lee. That's weird because the villain in Live and Let Die was named Kananga. Geez, put the 2 together. Kananga Scaramanga. Now that's a villain's name. It's revealed that Scaramanga has an odd deformity, a 3rd nipple.
Well, that's amazing. That's disgusting!
I'm not sure what relevance that has to anything, but it definitely harkens back to the comic book villains of the earlier Connery Bond films. For example, the ones in Goldfinger, where one guy can turn females to gold, and another guy can kill people with a bowler's hat. We meet an American-style gangster played by Mark Lawrence, who also appeared in Diamonds Are Forever as the same character.
Exceptionally fine shot.
I didn't know there was a pool down there.
Knick-Knack offers him a large payout and then leads him into a spooky maze where saloon music is playing in the background. It turns out that the gangster and Scaramanga are in the midst of a shootout, with both trying to make it to, what else? The Golden Gun, Scaramanga's weapon of choice. There's a neat little scene where the gangster character finds a bunch of his mafia buddies as statues.
Hey, Al. Al. Wherever you are, don't hold it against me.
So Scaramanga makes it to the gun first. What did you expect? It was his fucking maze. And wins the shootout. We then get a reveal of a James Bond statue, setting up Scaramanga's obsession with the daring 00 agent. Or maybe he's just a really big Sean Connery fan. The title is open and we get what I think is one of the most memorable opening themes performed by Scottish singer Lulu.
He has a powerful weapon. He charges a million a shot. An assassin that's second to none. The man with the golden gun.
It's got a nice playful feel to it, but surprisingly, this is one of the many aspects of the film critics panned. A lot of people hate this song. It might interest some to know that Alice Cooper was selected to do a version of the opening song, but the producers went with Lulu's version instead, leaving Cooper to release his version on his album Muscle of Love. The main movie starts, and MI6 gets a golden bullet with 007 engraved on it. Figuring Scaramanga has Bond pinned for a body bag, M takes Bond off of his current case. Bond decides once again to go rogue. He goes to Beirut and attempts to seduce a belly dancer, noticing that she possesses a charm in the form of a spent golden bullet, and after nearly choking to death on it, gets attacked by some random thugs. We see that Q, played once again by that lovable remnant of the Stone Age, Desmond Llewellyn, is up to his usual tricks, blowing up things at random. After tracing the bullet to its manufacturer in Bacau, Bond heads to a local casino there where he runs into Scaramanga's girlfriend, Andrea Anders, played by Maud Adams. While following her to Hong Kong, he also runs into his assistant, the voluptuous Goodnight, played by Britt Eklund. A lot of critics dismiss her as just another dumb blonde. Remember Tiffany Case from Diamonds Are Forever?
You just killed James Bond.
Relax, Eklund isn't that bad. Part of that might be because she's British, and so part of her stupidity is forgotten due to that good old British charm of hers. But seriously, even though she comes off as ditzy, it doesn't seem intentional. Goodnight really just comes off as someone who's not experienced in the field of, well, chasing the bad guys. But you know what? With a body like that, who cares how dumb she is? Oh, what? Like the James Bond series can take credit for portraying women in a positive light. So Bond corners Andrea in her hotel suite, smacks her around a little, and finally gets her to reveal a little about her 3-nippled boyfriend. This leads Bond to a strip joint. It's about time this series showed some balls. On his way there, Knick-Knack tries to distract James while Scaramanga performs an assassination attempt, trying to frame Bond for the death of his target. Bond gets whisked away from the scene by his Hong Kong contact, Lieutenant Hip. In the meantime, Scaramanga molests Andrea with his golden gun, and in a deleted scene, with his golden penis. Just kidding. Bond is taken to the wreckage of the RMS Queen Elizabeth, where M has set up headquarters. This is a really cool set because the background is built on a slant with all the furniture upright. It's a really puzzling scene to look at, almost like it's a forgotten Picasso painting. It's hard on the eyes and it warps the mind, but it's cool to look at. So M assigns Bond to retrieve this thing called the Solex Agitator, which Knick-Knack stole from Scaramanga's victim. Bond then goes to Bangkok to slam pussy. Come on, I never heard anyone make that joke before. But seriously, he goes to meet up with a rich entrepreneur posing as Scaramanga. He looks nothing like Christopher Lee, but his suction cup nipple is a good enough clearance. But the joke's on him because Scaramanga is already there witnessing the whole thing.
I had no choice. They arrived right before you did.
James gets picked up by Lieutenant Hip and his twin nieces, Fook Me and Fook You. No, I'm sure that's not their real names, but it should have been. He goes back to the entrepreneur's place and gets hijacked by two sumo wrestlers. He even gives one a wedgie. Didn't you know? All spies save that move for special occasions. Knick-Knack gets the upper hand when Scaramanga steps in to remind him that we still have 2/3 of the movie left. Bond awakens at a dojo where he kicks a guy in the face and then gets his ass kicked. He tries to escape when the whole dojo chases him. The Fook twins arrive to save the day, and then we get a pretty silly yet ultimately satisfying martial arts display. At the end of the day, the twins leave Bond to fend for himself, and he makes his daring escape in a motorboat where he's pestered by the annoying kid from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I know the kid probably wasn't even born yet, but do you see the resemblance? And then we get... oh no. Dear God, no. For those who saw my Live and Let Die review, this should come as no surprise. This is Sheriff J.W. Pepper, the most annoying and out-of-place character in the entire Bond franchise. You thought he was irritating in the last movie? Well, wait until you get a load of him now.
You just try that in my bayou, boy! I'd hold your ass!
So in the next scene, it looks like Bond is finally going to fulfill Goodnight's wishes and slip her a little bit of the old in-out, in-out. When out of nowhere, Andrea enters the room to take first dibs. Think about how cruel this is. Here's a girl who genuinely wants him, a really attractive one I might add, and he shoves her in the closet and bobs the other one, with Goodnight in the same room. And he still has the nerve to want sex from her the next morning. Bond, you're scum. That's it. You're a British douche. This puts you a few notches beneath Connery's Bond. So Bond goes to a kickboxing tournament to tell Andrea what a lovely time he had fucking over his assistant when... oh, she's dead. Skank. Scaramanga corners James and whispers sweet nothings in his ear. Goodnight finds Scaramanga's car and places a tracker in his trunk, but she simply isn't fast enough, and Scaramanga throws her into the trunk. Okay, she's a dumb blonde, but at least she doesn't have a lot of dialogue.
Keep leaning on that tutor, Charlie, and you're gonna get a shot in the mouth.
See, I knew to find a win somewhere. We get another great car chase where Bond hijacks Sheriff Pepper's new car. Is he wearing braces? One of the standout stunts of the film is when Bond makes a jump over this curving bridge. It's a great looking stunt, but it's fucked up by this very simple yet very out of place cartoon sound effect. Scaramanga and Knick-Knack finally evade James and escape on a plane car. You don't see that every day. Bond tracks him to his secret island where Scaramanga gives him a demonstration of his giant solar-powered laser.
Laser.
Which he uses to promptly blow up James' plane. Finally, a smart Bond villain. They finally engage in a shootout in what eventually just becomes a replay of the film's opening act. As you'd expect, James gets the upper hand and kills Scaramanga. They disarm Scaramanga's ultimate weapon, resulting in an explosion that takes out the whole island. It's unrealistic, but pretty damn cool. Then Goodnight and Bond get away on Scaramanga's boat, only so James can have a final confrontation with Knick-Knack. I love how Knick-Knack gets his comeuppance here. This is the only time so far where I feel a Bond villain got what they deserved. No bullshit bullet to the head, no anticlimactic death. Just tie that asshole up to the mast of the ship. That's what you get for being a shithead. Can you believe that this was the 4th lowest grossing Bond film? Not only that, fans and critics generally count this as one of the worst films in the series because of the humor. I've seen some pretty goofy things in these films. Yaphet Kotto's death in Live and Let Die, Tiffany Case in Diamonds Are Forever, that stupid Tinker Toy in You Only Live Twice, the one that kicked a lot of ass, but that's beside the point. Bottom line, this one is far less ridiculous than some of those films. I have to be honest, I'd put it up there right next to Goldfinger. It's got two very distinguishing villains, a few really good action scenes, some random martial arts stuff, and a few neat little twists. And even though it's a little exhaustive in how many different locations it has, the story is more direct. It's pretty much a simple I have to get him before he gets me plot. It's as basic and as fun as that. And for the record, my favorite mode in a round of multiplayer GoldenEye? Man with the golden gun, baby.